know this is a little bit late, but I mean, there's still people talking about it, so I figured that it'd be a perfect time to address this. Because it is kind of a big deal. It relates to a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this channel, and that's obviously the big drama going on between Warner Brothers and the whole HBO Max Discovery Plus controversy. So recently, Warner did a merger with Discovery, and not only do they want to bring some Discovery content over to HBO Max, which is Warner's streaming service, but they also want to create a new one called Discovery Plus, as if we need more streaming services now. The reason a lot of people are talking about this being a bad thing is because a bunch of content creators that work for Warner have been laid off, and a bunch of content has been canceled, whether it be stuff like Close Enough, which was in its 3rd season, Infinity Train, and a bunch of other Cartoon Network shows that got the shaft are being purged off of HBO Max. And this is what's pissing off a lot of people. They're technically allowed to do it. It's their business. They can call the shots. They can shoot themselves in the foot if they want. But from the content creation perspective and the artistic perspective, it just kind of hurts. You have a bunch of really talented showrunners and creators and writers and animators and artists all getting laid off and all getting their projects canceled early or just being purged off of the platform. From a consumer perspective, it sucks because it's like, say that you wanted to watch something like Infinity Train or Close Enough or one of these other shows that people were really into that were on HBO Max that are now being purged. Imagine how much it sucks because now you can't watch it unless you watch it through, I don't know, pirating.
Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
And I thought that's what streaming services were supposed to be for. I thought streaming services were supposed to be the one-stop shop where you can watch stuff like this. But now that it's not on the platform, then a lot of people are gonna try and tune out because it's not there anymore. It feels like Cartoon Network is trying to fix this problem because not only have they said they had no idea that all these shows were going to be purged off of the platform completely, and they're going to try their best to see if they can bring some stuff back, but they're also talking about doing DVD releases for shows that probably got wiped off the platform, and it also feels like they're doing it as a way to try and get people back in their good graces. Recently, they announced they're going to be doing DVD box set releases of the complete series of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Ed, Edd n Eddy. This also might be because of the upcoming 30th anniversary of Cartoon Network. That's probably also part of it. But it feels like they waited at just the right time when people were really upset at HBO Max and Warner and the higher-ups in that circle. And now it feels like they're trying to win people back by giving them something they might want. It's just really funny because all this takes me back to earlier in the year when everyone was giving Disney crap for like all the shady stuff they were doing. And then it feels like Warner Brothers actively sat there and went, no. We can make people hate us a lot more than they hate Disney right now. Last thing I wanted to bring up is Cartoon Network announced a while ago that they want to bring some of their older shows back. They want to bring back Gumball, they want to bring back Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, except this time they're going to be for a preschool demographic. Probably because Cartoon Network's whole thing with trying to have 12 hours of baby content, or whatever their new rule is. The biggest of all is that Craig McCracken said he wants to come back to Cartoon Network to do a new Powerpuff Girls show. And, well, I'm a little nervous. I really want it to be good. But all I can say is this. It's certainly got to be better than the 2016 reboot. It's more than likely going to be better than the CW show, which they're still trying to make for some reason.
Welcome back to Crossfire 2.0 with your hosts Peter Collins and Chris T. Ian, the show that tackles heavy, complex subject matter and dumbs it down to the most basic of buzzwords.
Racism,
family values,
LGBTQ+,
ugh, China,
feminism,
ugh, socialism,
ugh, capitalism,
ugh, communism,
ugh, war in Iraq,
terrorism,
veganism,
Christianity,
global warming,
Fox News,
ugh, Republicans,
ugh, Democrats.
And now, see two artistically challenged crackers complain about children's shows they haven't seen and don't understand, all the while calling themselves experts on the subject. If they seem like they can barely comprehend politics, you know they don't know a thing about cartoons, even if it hit them square in the groin. This is Crossfire 2.0.
Hello, I'm a Chris T. Ian.
and I'm a PC. Today we have a couple of very important trending topics.
That's right, Peter. Recently, beloved cartoonist and showrunner Craig McGregor is coming back to work on a reboot of his old series he worked on in the 90s, The Powerpuff Girls.
Now, a lot of people don't seem too fond of a lot of these recent Powerpuff Girl reboots, whether it be the 2016 show for the Cartoon Network or the planned live-action reboot for the CW.
It seems that most people are pretty happy about his return to the series. A lot of people say that the show will be a lot better under his supervision. Though, I think most people tend to forget how horribly offensive the original Powerpuff Girls was. After all, remember that one time they released the theatrical film based on the Powerpuff Girls, and there was a scene that involved a city being destroyed, and they had the audacity to release this film in 2002? Way to remind people of a historical tragedy, guys. I mean, first Spider-Man does it, and now this. The only film that should possibly reference something like that is Turning Red.
Well, I don't really agree with a lot of that, but I do think that the original Powerpuff Girls show was incredibly problematic. I mean, the original Powerpuff Girls had an episode that criticized feminism with a character called Femme Fatale, which was clearly just a blatant straw man of strong, independent women. Not to mention entirely useless and sexist characters like Miss Bellum. I mean, that was just a character that existed to catch the male gaze. Even though I've never seen a single episode of the 2016 show, all I can say is I'm really happy to hear that they got rid of that incredibly useless and offensive character known as Miss Bellum.
Now, I believe you referenced earlier that they're planning to reboot the series again, but instead put it in live action and put it on the CWC network or something like that?
That's right, Chris. Last year, a script was leaked for the new upcoming CW reboot for Powerpuff Girls, and a lot of people didn't really like it. Now, I haven't read the script myself, but I'm just going to assume that people who didn't like it are a bunch of racist, sexist man-babies who don't like change. They don't like seeing women in power. Or something. I don't know.
Okay, Snowflake. Alright, well, let's start taking in some calls, because that's how pre-recorded YouTube videos work.
Yeah, and that also implies that we're getting paid for this crap. Okay, caller, you're on the line.
Yeah, I was calling in regards to your thoughts on Powerpuff Girls. Look, if you don't like the show, that's fine. But there's a bunch of stuff you got wrong when you guys were talking about it.
The destruction in the Powerpuff Girls movie wasn't meant to be connected to said tragedy you mentioned earlier. The film was in production long before any of that actually happened. And as for the Femme Fatale episode you guys talked about, the episode was meant to show people who take causes with good intentions and use them for their own selfish gains and harmful actions they use against people who get in their way.
Heck, the episode was written by a woman, Lauren Faust, the wife of the show's creator, Craig McCracken.
Wait. That episode was written by a woman? There's just so many layers of internalized misogyny in that. Ugh.
Yeah, besides, who knows more about these silly cartoon shows than us experts?
Well, I am the Powerpuff fanboy. I think I know a thing or two about the Powerpuff franchise.
If you want, I can get the Powerpuff fangirl on the line and we can help elaborate.
No, thank you. The last thing I want to do is spend my time listening to some teenage girls talk about some cartoon from 20 years ago.
Well, let's just be glad they're not butchering Kim Possible or Teenage Robot.
Well, of course we're not going to talk about those shows, because we haven't heard of them. Therefore, no one's probably heard of them.
I think I've heard of Kim Possible. Yeah, well, I think it was really #brave of them to replace her as a cheerleader and instead turn her into a soccer player. That was just so #woke of them.
Listen, we have to go. We have other people to ignore. Listen to. Alright, next caller, you're up.
Hey, I just wanted to call in and say you guys can go fuck yourselves. I hate you both. I hate the content you produce. You are what is wrong with the current political system, online or otherwise. You guys seem to think you know everything, and anyone that dare call you out for your snobbish elitist personalities are a bunch of racists or communists because it hurts your ego and knocks you off of your high horse. While there are real issues going on in the world, you'd rather waste time complaining about children's shows from your armchairs on the internet and playing mental gymnastics to connect your political complaints to things that you probably don't even care about. But then you pretend to care about these things because that way you can interject yourselves into other people's interests. So that way people have to listen to you and your stupid faces. You guys don't care about changing minds or indulging in conversation. You only want to hate each other and have excuses to call each other names.
Because of self-serving, snide douchebags like you that we won't get any legitimate progress from either side of things. Not only are you guys blatant hack frauds, I hope you both get ligma. Spirited caller, right?
Yeah, I'll say. Anyway, let's move on to another piece of problematic programming that we have to talk about, like the horribly offensive Rick and Morty.
We could talk about that, or we could talk about the horribly woke, pandering garbage that is Steven Universe.
What did you say, mother?
Lol, like, WTF did I just watch?